But look, what did it take for us to get to the point of an apology? We had to threaten a lawsuit, Jesse. And by the way, we're still entertaining it. We're talking to some of the best lawyers out there that are experts in this. And as you know, these things can be very complicated. There's a lot of facts and circumstances around it. But we're not going to let this go, because you should not be able to smear 5,000 high school and college kids and then just be able to walk away with it.
It is the show that people love to hate.
Yes, that's true. That's true.
They get so much hate watching and hate watching viral clips of them saying ridiculous things. I mean, it is a rabies-infested hen house.
Joe Rogan just dropped a truth bomb so massive it nearly sent Sunny Hostin flying out of her chair. Her jaw practically slammed to the floor in stunned silence. And if that shocking moment wasn't enough to leave the audience gasping, Charlie Kirk charged in with full courtroom firepower, slapping The View with a jaw-dropping $100 million lawsuit. Can you picture the chaos that exploded across live television? This wasn't your typical daytime drama. It was a televised earthquake rattling every single viewer to their core. The clash had people laughing, shouting, gasping, and even questioning their own choices all at once. Believe me, this is one explosive showdown no one can afford to miss.
And the reason they felt they needed to do that, Jesse, is because if they told their audience the truth, that when gas is the most expensive it's been, flights are super expensive, that 5,000 kids decided to spend a weekend in summer traveling across the country to go hear from conservative speakers, maybe the audience of The View would think twice about all of their ideas. That's why they felt so compelled to try to smear our wonderful summit this last week.
Yeah, they have nothing else to talk about. Maybe you should get the lawyer that worked on that Covington Catholic school case. What was that, a $200 million settlement?
Just when you thought daytime TV couldn't possibly climb any higher on the chaos scale, with its messy celebrity feuds and awkward political rants, boom! A $100 million lawsuit storms straight through the studio doors. That's right, someone actually dragged The View into court for a fortune so staggering the world is still reeling. And the mastermind behind this legal earthquake? None other than Charlie Kirk, the political firestarter who thrives on headlines and controversy wherever he goes. This wasn't a soft jab or a petty complaint. It was a full-blown declaration of war in the history of morning talk shows. And, let's just say, what happened next spiraled uglier than a family Thanksgiving dinner gone completely off the rails.
The culture shift between right and left authoritarianism, and now people don't recognize that if you just stopped looking at it in terms of red and blue, look at the actions, whether it's war, suppression of free speech, pharmacological interventions that are mandatory, right, whatever it is, that used to all be associated with the authoritative right, the authoritarian right, and now those things are being embraced by the left. And I just think it's just an ideology thing, and I think we get confused and we think we're on the right side, and if it's our side that's saying this, for sure that's the right thing to do, and no one's critically thinking about this.
Joe Rogan is the gateway drug for young men that thought they were Democrats to become MAGA. Joe Rogan is the bridge, and on that bridge they'll see RFK, they'll see Elon Musk.
Now, let's pause and take in the sheer magnitude of this legal brawl. $100 million on the line. That's not the sting of losing a few social media followers. This is the kind of crushing blow that could make someone consider selling empires of popcorn just to stay afloat. To really grasp the scale, that money could buy a small country, or even launch a private trip to Mars. Yet Charlie Kirk chose to aim that colossal figure directly at The View. We're talking about a daytime talk show notorious for its whirlwind of fiery debates, flashy celebrity chatter, and political commentary that sometimes crashes harder than a plane made of lead.
Charlie Kirk's the founder and CEO of Turning Point USA and the author of the new book, The College Scam. So, Charlie, do you accept The View's apology?
I mean, regardless of whether or not I accept it, the question is, do our students accept it? That's really what's at heart here. They went after our 5,000 students at our event there of high school and college kids. And look, I get attacked all the time. People say false things. I'm a public figure. But when you go after 16 and 17-year-olds that travel from across the country that then have to live for the rest of their life with a shadow over them because someone at ABC says that they might be linked to neo-Nazis.
So what on earth could spark a lawsuit this enormous? We're not talking about some silly online squabble or a misread meme. This cuts way deeper. The trigger allegedly came from reckless remarks spilled live on The View. Words that critics claim cross the dangerous line between heated opinion and full-scale legal disaster. Daytime TV has always felt like a noisy cafeteria where everyone shouts to be heard, but this time, that endless shouting allegedly tipped straight into lawsuit territory. And now, the fallout is so explosive, no one can look away.
Her disgusting, gross elitism and her complete out-of-touch nature with respect to the rest of the world. Sunny Hostin goes on The View and decides now would be a great time to dump all over the so-called uneducated.
What we did not have is white women who voted about 52%, right, for Donald Trump. Uneducated white women, is my understanding. You have Latino men, actually, voting more for him. And you have, and black men was not the story. We're not the story here because they voted almost 80% for the vice president. Right.
Just because you didn't go to college doesn't mean you're stupid, and it doesn't mean that you don't have wisdom. You can go to college and get a bunch of irrelevant facts about how men can allegedly give birth or whatever they
Out of all the panelists, Sunny Hostin suddenly found herself under the fiercest spotlight. Or better yet, trapped beneath the harshest legal microscope. She's no stranger to heated debates, often leaning on her background in law to present herself as the voice of authority on the show. But this time, her legal expertise didn't protect her. Critics argue it made her the very symbol of reckless commentary. The irony is almost too rich. If anyone was expected to tread carefully, it was Sunny, yet she became the prime suspect in careless talk. And just when things couldn't possibly intensify further, Joe Rogan came barreling in like a bull, tearing through glass. Famous for his brutally honest, no-filter approach, a wild mix of humor, skepticism, and savage roasting, he pounced on the moment and ripped into the chaos with full force. When Rogan turned his focus to both the lawsuit and Sunny Hostin's role, the internet leaned in as one, hungry for the fireworks. And fireworks he delivered, not with boring legal jargon, but with biting sarcasm, razor-sharp critiques, and relentless mockery. His attack wasn't just about dissecting legal claims. It was a total demolition of how recklessly The View had handled the entire scandal. It became a masterclass in public roasting, slicing through daytime chatter and striking exactly where it hurt the most.
I have no hate for Joy Behar. If I saw her, I'd give her a hug. I'd probably say the same thing about me if I was her. You're worried about losing your job, and you're worried about podcasts taking over, and who's the source of news, and we said Donald Trump was Hitler, but half the country disagreed with us, and he won, and this is fucking great, and Joe Rogan believes in dragons!
Joe Rogan, ever the contrarian powerhouse, didn't hold back. He threw his full weight behind Charlie Kirk's lawsuit. This wasn't some half-hearted nod of agreement. It was a thunderous endorsement of the legal strike itself. Rogan framed it as a desperately needed wake-up call for a media platform that, in his words, treats serious accusations like nothing more than a noisy shouting contest. If anyone needed a sharp dose of reality, it was The View. And Sunny Hostin, with her polished legal credentials, suddenly became the poster child for reckless commentary. But here's the twist that stunned everyone. Rogan humiliated the show without ever stepping onto their set or raising his voice in a screaming match. Instead, he used the colossal reach of podcasting, the raw influence of the internet, and his trademark brand of cutting humor. He took the alleged facts, amplified their absurdity, and painted The View as a legal disaster waiting to explode, like clowns tossing dynamite as if it were party favors on New Year's Eve. Breaking it down, Rogan first spotlighted the sheer weight of the lawsuit. 100 million isn't just a flashy headline, it's a cannonball fired at reputations and livelihoods. Yet, The View brushed it off, as though throwing around accusations was just business as usual. And the most brutal irony? The show prides itself on informed, serious discussion. Yet here it was, allegedly spewing reckless claims with no evidence at all. Rogan compared it to a doctor diagnosing a patient purely off their horoscope. Reckless, laughable, and dangerously absurd.
But with that show has this very specific ideological bubble in which they operate in. You know, and they always bring on a token conservative woman, and they yell over her and silence her, and, you know, they did that with Meghan McCain, and they did that with what is that other blonde woman from Survivor? Do you remember her, Jamie? She was always yelling. I mean, it's a bizarre show. I think the way you before you start, I think the way you described it is brilliant, and the way we should all look at it. Of course, you're going to see race. The idea of being colorblind is ridiculous, but treat everybody. They're just human beings.
Yeah.
Everybody's just individuals.
Not exactly the kind of confidence anyone expected, right? Sunny Hostin, with all her polished legal expertise, was supposed to be the safeguard against reckless talk. Yet, according to the lawsuit, even she drifted into dangerous waters with her remarks. Joe Rogan wasted no time in spotlighting the irony. The very legal expert who should have known better was now tangled in a potential courtroom nightmare. That kind of twist is the stuff writers dream about, only this one was playing out in real time for millions to see. Rogan's humor dripped with sarcasm as he ripped into the show's bravado, mocking bold claims that had no roots in fact. He painted The View as a ticking legal minefield, where every careless word threatened to trigger another explosion of lawsuits. What once looked like fearless commentary suddenly resembled reckless gambling with legal fire. And the ripple effect? It threatened to shake the entire foundation of daytime TV. Imagine hosts once known for fiery hot takes, now second-guessing every phrase, terrified of million-dollar lawsuits stacking up faster than celebrity guest appearances. Rogan's takedown wasn't just about The View. It hinted at something far bigger. A shift in power, where podcasts and independent platforms, raw and unfiltered, are fast becoming the true judges of public opinion.
It's a very strange show, but it's fun to watch. It's just fun to watch them.
It's good entertainment.
Yeah.
Undoubtedly.
Well, they're just, it's interesting because I think Sunny is very intelligent, but she's ideologically captured.
Right.
That's sort of, I think the other ones, there's a couple of the other ones, don't have to name any names, who are just very dull-minded. But I think Sunny's not one of them. I think she's smart, but captured.
Sure, I think she came into it with an agenda.
Of course. They do everything with an agenda.
When someone like Joe Rogan steps in, backs a lawsuit, and publicly tears apart the credibility of a major TV show, the message is thunderous. The old media guard is stumbling, maybe even collapsing. The way Rogan dismantled Sunny Hostin went beyond commentary. It was a masterclass in turning courtroom chaos into pure entertainment while exposing every fragile crack in The View's armor. He didn't creep into the story. He stormed in like a wrecking ball, swinging sarcasm and logic with crushing precision. His points were brutally sharp, impossible to ignore, and devastatingly clear. He honed in on how the show, supposedly a stage for serious debate, had instead morphed into a reckless rumor mill, lobbing damaging claims about Charlie Kirk with zero proof. It was like watching blindfolded performers juggle flaming swords. Entertaining for a moment, but disaster is coming fast. And then there was the irony too rich to overlook. Sunny Hostin, a trained attorney, the one expected to know the risks, allegedly spewing accusations on live TV without a shred of evidence. Rogan spotlighted this contradiction with the precision of a comedian catching a politician mid-lie. Only this time, it wasn't just laughable, it was legally explosive.
I had to read the thing about The View because I just thought it was funny.
What's
That's
The
the
View?
only reason why I read that about me.
Dragon lover.
The radio,
All right, tell me
Joy
what this is.
Behar was trying to say that I believe in dragons.
Wait, what is this? I just
She
heard
said,
about
I checked it. And the lady goes, did you double check it? She goes, I checked it. He believes in dragons.
Should be like
you think they lived
Sasquatch,
alongside of
bitch.
people.
Wait,
It was from a wildlife biologist who came on my podcast. It was from Forrest Gallant. Gallant? How do I say his last name? Great guy. I love him.
Yeah.
He's awesome. But
Rocky
he was
and Jamie.
saying...
Then came the sarcasm, and Rogan delivered it like pure gold. He painted The View as a chaotic circus, tossing reckless claims into the air like confetti at a wild New Year's party. Sure, it might look dazzling at first, but eventually the mess suffocates everyone and someone's left to clean it all up. But Rogan wasn't just aiming for cheap laughs. His mockery cut deep. By exposing the absurdity and overreach of Sunny Hostin's words, as well as the lawsuit itself, he flipped the script entirely. Suddenly, the question wasn't whether Charlie Kirk had gone too far. It was whether he had been the victim of a reckless media frenzy. If The View thought they'd emerge as defenders of truth and justice, Rogan's viral takedown shattered that illusion, making them look more like a walking lawsuit ready to implode at any second. The shift in public perception was undeniable. Rogan steered the conversation away from the flashy $100 million headline and straight toward the bigger issue. How accountable should TV hosts be when they hurl heavy accusations at public figures? And here's the ultimate irony. A podcast host, often brushed off as the Wild West of media, was now the one forcing a serious mainstream show to face accountability for its recklessness.
This is the most important part. This is right after she was saying, we are run by ABC News. You should trust us, not Joe Rogan, who believes in dragons. So she by saying we should trust them because they're double checked by ABC News, and then making the stupidest fucking statement. Like, you didn't listen to what I said.
Yeah.
You didn't listen to what the wildlife biologist, and that's only a part of what he said.
I can't believe
the other
Joy
part of what he
Behar
said
didn't
was
wait.
there was something before that where he was explaining encounters with giant reptiles. And then there's also, listen,
It doesn't make sense to me that a middle-aged woman could be dumb.
when you're worried about losing your job and you're worried about podcasts taking over and who's the source of news.
Joe Rogan's savage roast wasn't just for laughs. It was a deafening wake-up call that roared far beyond the lawsuit itself. The message couldn't be clearer. Reckless commentary is no longer harmless banter. The stakes have skyrocketed into the millions. Legal accountability is no longer whispered behind closed doors. It's front and center, ready to strike. Hosts who toss serious accusations around like flashy buzzwords could soon find themselves signing million-dollar checks instead of chasing viral applause. This clash might force daytime TV to completely rewrite its rulebook. The era of spouting hot takes without fact-checking could be crashing down fast. Imagine hosts pausing mid-rant, scrambling to double-check their words, not because producers demand it, but because lawyers are lurking, ready to pounce. This lawsuit could become the hammer that reshapes media, especially when politics and culture collide like gasoline meeting fire. And here's the ripple that rattles even deeper. Rogan's role proves a new power shift in media. Independent voices with massive followings aren't background noise anymore. They're center stage. When Rogan throws his weight behind a case, humiliates a mainstream giant, and dismantles a seasoned host, it sends a seismic warning shot. The monopoly of traditional media dominance is cracking apart, and now public opinion is being reshaped outside corporate walls.
Not really their audience. Their audience is a group of people they bring in to watch television shows. You know, I don't know if you've ever seen audiences before for TV shows, but a lot of them are paid. They're paid to be there. So, because they have to guarantee that there's going to be people there. So there's services that you hire. And when a show gets really, really popular, you know, like Letterman or something like that, obviously it has its own fan base.
Right.
Those people will try to get tickets before anybody else does. And in that case, they probably don't need to use a service anymore. They just get actual fans. But arguably, like, the fans, the real fans of The View that are like, oh, these ladies are on point. Most of those people can't leave the house. Like, they're probably immobile.
Right.
And now the burning question. Will this lawsuit blow up in The View's face, or will it spectacularly backfire? Cases this massive are like high-stakes poker. Go all in, bluff hard, or lose everything in one crushing hand. If The View's team miscalculated, they could unleash a tidal wave of new lawsuits, chilling reckless commentary across television forever. But if Charlie Kirk's gamble collapses, it could discourage future challenges to media giants, leaving unchecked talk shows free to throw accusations without consequence. Either way, the showdown between free speech and accountability is about to ignite hotter than ever before. Legal insiders are already whispering about new filings, countersuits, even surprise witnesses that could detonate like bombs in the middle of this trial. Social media is ablaze. Independent commentators are piling in, and the fallout could rewrite how the world consumes daytime TV. One thing is certain. This isn't heading toward a quiet backroom deal. It's a sprawling public circus filled with twists that will keep millions glued to the screen. Will The View be forced to swallow a brutal lesson in responsibility? Will Joe Rogan keep flexing his influence, rewriting the rules of accountability? Or will this saga spiral into an epic war that changes talk television forever? Right now, the legal storm is raging, and reckless words now carry a price tag in the tens of millions. Whether it sparks smarter commentary or bigger, messier clashes, one thing is undeniable. Rogan has shifted the entire game, and the battle has only just begun. If you thought daytime TV was harmless chatter, think again. The stakes are sky high, the punches are brutal, and the courtroom has become the most dramatic stage of all. Keep watching, because this storm is still building, and every savage twist is only getting wilder.